Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Harry Anesiris, and this is my channel grecochess. We're going now to return to playing against the chess.com bots. We have defeated all the beginner bots, and we'll continue now with the intermediate ones. Let's share with you my screen. Here are the 15 beginner bots that we have defeated, all of them, and now we're starting with the intermediate. And the first one on our way is Maria. The rules are the same. I play with every bot twice, once with white and once with black. If I win, I continue. If I lose, the series is over. And if there is a draw, I have to play the same game again, same bot, same colors, until there is a decisive winner. Maria has a rating of 1000. She's from Mexico, and we're going to start. In the first game, I have the white, and Maria has the black. Maria is telling me, "Hola, I hope you are ready for some spicy chess." Well, I'm not sure how spicy chess differs from non-spicy chess, but I'm ready to start with my e-pawn. And Maria also replies the e-pawn. I put my knight on f3. Hence, Maria places her knight on c6. Standard opening until now. My pawn goes to d4. And Maria will take my pawn at d4, but not with the pawn, with the knight. There is a trap. If I take the pawn on e5, things may not go so well, because queen can go to e5 and who knows what. That's why I'm going to take the knight with my knight. I take the knight on d4. Take the pawn, and my queen is at the center. Now continue developing. Knight goes to c3. Maria places her knight on h6. Threatening to place the 5. I cannot take it because of the pin. It could go to g4 and places me in a dilemma. Should I exchange? Then I lose a bishop for the knight, but I double Maria's pawn. But then the g file is open, so I'd rather not castle my king to the king's side. Let me take the knight for now. And Maria decides, instead of taking my bishop directly, to attack my queen. What can I do? I'm going to push my queen to d5. Maria doesn't take my bishop. Until now, she was okay because I couldn't protect the bishop since my queen is under threat. But now that there is no threat, bishop goes to g5 and already I'm a piece ahead. I think I have given away too much material. Yes, Maria, it's a little bit too late that you thought of it now. Now that I'm ahead in material, I'm going to exchange queens. No queen makes my attacking chance more attractive. Hey, I need my queen to attack you. Oh, you thought of it a little bit too late. But I'm going to castle queenside. If Maria is not careful, I'm checkmating on d8. But no, Maria was careful. Doesn't allow me to checkmate. I'm going to attack Maria's bishop. Goes back to e6. And now let's see how do we continue developing. I'm a piece ahead, but if I'm not careful, it doesn't mean too much. Let me develop my bishop. Fianchetto to g2. Maria wants to exchange pawns. Okay, go ahead. And Maria offers me a free bishop. Thanks, Maria. Now I'm 2 pieces ahead. How do we continue? Bishop goes to c4. Now my bishop is developed. I don't need any longer to fianchetto. Instead of taking the bishop, I'm going to attack it now because of the pin. Maria cannot remove the bishop. Neither, of course, can she take my bishop. And now we have a check. e7. I hate it when the tables get turned and I'm getting attacked. Well, the table is not exactly turned because you never really attacked me in the first place. And now it's time for a checkmate. Rook goes to d8. Whoa, you saw through my tricks, through my tactics. Can I have another game? I didn't even see your attacks, Maria. I doubt you had any. But this time, we're going to review the games. Before we continue with the next one, I'm going to do the game review from the intermediate now. Let's be a little bit more careful and attentive and see what happened. Game review. If I made any mistakes, although I won the game, it doesn't mean I was flawless. If I made any mistakes, but I learn from them. According to the chess.com computer, you grab the advantage out of the gate and never looked back. Well, I agree with that. And I had 92.6 accuracy versus 69.7, and I played for a rating of 2000 versus only 700, Maria. Maria, your ratings was 1000. How come you played only for 700? And let's see how did we do. You see that I had an advantage that starts growing more and more and more. With 12 best moves, 3 excellent, 3 books, 1 inaccuracy. Well, Maria had 5 best, 4 excellent, 1 good, 2 books, 1 inaccuracy, 3 mistakes, and 1 miss. Let's go now move by move to see how did we do. This was inaccuracy for Maria to take. My pawn instead of with the pawn with the knight. It's very tempting for me to take with the pawn. We'll see if it was the best or not. Sometimes it can be very tricky because queen goes to e7 or queen can even go to f6 or g5 and not g5 no, but to f6 and threaten the knight. I replied by taking the knight myself. Yes, computer thinks that was the best possible move. Take the pawn. Until now, we are more or less the same. I have 0.6 extra. But still, the game has not been decided. Queen goes to e7, not a good idea. Computer would rather have the queen go to f6. Knight goes to c3, of course, developing. Bishop goes to h6. Now I'm really +4 according to the computer, because you don't want to put your knights at the end of the board. Now, was it a good idea to exchange or not? Let's see. Computer thinks, although not necessarily the very best, it was an excellent move. And yes, c5, not taking my bishop but threatening my queen was the best according to the computer. Queen goes to d5. This was my inaccuracy. Ideally, my queen should have gone to e3 according to the computer, but I like having my queen in the middle, in fact, even a little bit ahead of the middle. But Maria not taking my bishop, which is the best move, gives me the advantage. From now on, I never look back. I have the plus 599 advantage. Bishop goes to g5. Queen goes to c6. And I'm exchanging queens, although the computer would rather have me do the long castling. Computer-wise, this may have been the better, but when you play human against human, if you're ahead in material, try to exchange. Even if theoretically is not the best possible move, this helps you win because when queens are out, there is no chance I'll ever blunder my queen later on, since there are no queens left. Of course, my opponent cannot blunder queen, but since I'm ahead, I don't need the computer to my opponent to blunder the queen to win. Long castling. Bishop goes to g4, the best. f3, exactly, I reply the best. e6. So I know what was my inaccuracy when I moved my queen to d5 instead of e3. Computer thinks it's excellent. I'm not sure why does computer thinks excellent. Because it's lost. The bishop is lost. It could have gone to many other squares. What squares could it have gone? c8, d7, f7, g8, d5, c4. All the squares were safe. a2 was not a safe. I take with my knight. Now my advance becomes larger and larger. I'm pinning the bishop. And I think that the bishop is lost. Let's see if the bishop can be saved in any way. I doubt it. Because it's attacked twice, defended once. None of the rooks can go next to the bishop. My opponent, Maria, made a big mistake. Okay, I had a huge advantage, but not mating two. Now I have a mating two. That was easy to see. Check, take the bishop, and check again. And this is the analysis of the game versus Maria. What I need to do now is remove this screen. So we only have the main screen now. And I'm going to play the second game, but now I'm going to have black and Maria has white. Can we have another game? Of course, Maria, now I'm going to have the black and you have the white. Let's see if you can do better than that. Again, same wish. I hope you're ready for some spicy chess. Let's see how spicy chess you can make this time, Maria. Start with the e-pawn. Do the same, like you last time, the symmetric. The knight myself. Bishop to c4. This is the so-called Italian opening. How do I reply? There are many ways to do it. Let me put my bishop to e7. Pawn goes to d4. I'm going to grab the pawn before it continues d5 and attacks my knight. How to continue now? Pawn goes to d6 to open the line, the diagonal of my bishop. Take the pawn, be a pawn ahead. Pinning the knight on f3. And now a multiple attack. I'm attacking your bishop on c4, but also threatening your knight at f3. Exactly. You played correctly. Now bishop went back to e2, the only move that would keep you alive. Takes my knight. I'm taking your bishop, threatening your queen. And I'm taking now your knight, and I'm an extra pawn that you gave me the opening. To castle. How to continue? I would like to take the pawn here, but attack once and defend it once. My queen will go to b6, but problem is that my bishop is not defended, but it's not attacked, of course. Bishop goes to c5, it's now defended. Attack your rook. Putting my Rook on an open file. You attack my bishop, but I cannot take your pawn because the queen defends it. I don't like your knight being so forward. Let's my rook on the E file. That is the open with the other. So I have my two rooks on the two central files. Your bishop, your rook goes to the D, so the two rooks are in the two open files. What would I like to see now? How about I put my rook behind your queen? You're attacking my knight. I don't want to lose because then you open the line. What I don't like, and I should have seen before, is that I gave Maria the chance. She didn't take advantage, but she could have put her knight on d6 and fork my two rooks. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my queen on d8, so this fork is not possible any longer. And also, if she takes my knight, I take the bishop back with my queen. Exactly. We'll change, and so I take. Usually, the bishop is more valuable than the knight, but your knight, Maria's knight was very forward, and it was threatening all kind of folks. So I'm glad that I took the knight for my bishop. The pawn at d4 is threatened, attacked twice, defended once with the queen. So I'm going to grab the e4 pawn and defend it a second time. Now still Maria can take my pawn on a7, but this will make the queen be at the side of the board. Maria didn't notice, so I'm going to save this pawn. And be careful, I need to be careful because there is still a possibility of back rank, meaning my king has 3 pawns in front of it. For the time being, none of black's pieces is near threatening a back rank, but better be safe for the future. Better safe than sorry. That's why I'm pushing my h pawn. What else can we do? I'm ahead by 2 pawns in material. Can I increase my advantage? Let me put my rook on e8 so the two rooks protect each other. Can I put my rook on e2? Strategically, it's a good idea to have the rook on the second rank, but only if there is no tactics against it, meaning I'm not going to sacrifice material for this reason. I think I can do it. Maria places her rook on f3. What do I need to do? Until now, let me tell you, Maria has played quite well. Yes, she missed a chance to fork my two rooks, but I also should not have given her this chance in the first place. I wish I could have both rooks on the second rank, because that way, with my queen, I can attack the pawn at f2. Let's see, what can we do now? I'm going to put my rook, the problem is not protected. I'm going to put it on c2. And be careful, make sure it's not attacked. Maria will move to the other side, places a queen on h4. excuse me, h5. I'm going to put my other rook here and on e2 threaten the pawn at f2. Yes, it's attacked 3 times with the 2 rooks and the queen, defended twice with the rook and the king. So I'm going to take the pawn at f2. And now, which is the best way to take it? You can take it with the rook or with the queen. I think with the queen, we're near the mate. Let's see. Hey, I'm the one who is supposed to be attacking. Maria. You're supposed to be attacking. You should be attacking. And I think it's checkmate. My queen will go to h2 or even to g2 and it's checkmate. Let's be sure. Yes, so the game is over. The second game, I think almost until the end, Maria was doing quite well. But let's see what the review has to say about the game. Michael Talbot, 2 kinds of sacrifices, the correct ones and mine. Okay, I know this code. See here, the game was more or less even. Sometimes even Maria had a small advantage until way past the end. Accuracies. I was 66.6, Maria 54.3. I didn't play well. Only 1100 versus 650 for Maria. Meaning I got lucky that Maria didn't play well. Now let's see how did we do. Maria had 5 best moves, 2 excellent, 2 good, 4 books, 3 inaccuracies, 5 mistakes, 11 misses, and 0 blunders. And I had 2 great, 9 best, 2 excellent, 1 good, 4 books, 1 inaccuracy, 4 mistakes, 8 misses, and 1 blunder. And let's see what did I do, because I should not be very happy with the way I played. Yes, I survived, but barely. And let's start the review. Four moves until now, they were all book moves. This was okay for Maria, excellent. For me, it was the best, the fifth. This was not a good move for Maria. And I was not supposed to take the pawn. It's a mistake. I would rather develop the knight. That's what's called a gambit pawn, that I should not have taken it. Okay, one lesson to learn. Beware of the gambit pawns. If Maria had put her queen on b3, she would threaten my pawn on f7. It would be very difficult for me to defend it. If, for example, knight goes to h6, bishop takes it, pawn takes it, then Maria can take this pawn here. If my bishop goes, for example, to e6, first of all, she can take bishop exchange and take the pawn. Then the pawn here at b7 is now protected and threatening both knight and rook. I got lucky. I escaped. You see, Maria was already 0.7 before that mistake, that miss, and now I'm ahead by 0.2. Bishop goes to g4. I didn't punish. How should I punish? Taking out my knight. I'm afraid that again Maria had a chance to place her queen at b3. Yes, and she failed. So I got lucky twice. Instead, took the bishop out of d2. My knight goes to e5. It has a trap in the sense I'm attacking the knight twice. It's defined by the queen, the pawn. But if I could play again, take the knight, pawn takes it. And bishop goes to h3, attacks the rook. And this helps me a lot. White king is unprotected. The computer would rather have the knight takes my knight and I take the queen. But what's the follow-up? I'm not sure if there was any kind what's called a legal mate. Yes, because then bishop goes to f7, king goes here, then it would have been quite dangerous. this is one of the opening traps. I'm not sure if it has worked here. But then being and blocking the check, bishop goes to e2. This, I knew this was the only move that would help Maria. I didn't see before that she could let me take the queen and still have an advantage. I want to see a few moves before. It doesn't say what have been the advantage. We'll go here before. Yes, Maria had a 1.06 advantage, meaning if she played the best move, that would have been the advantage, but instead it goes down to 0.71 for me now. As I have mentioned in other videos, if you see a plus sign, it means that white is better, a minus means that black is better. I developed the knight, not the best moves. What should I have done? Should have initiated these exchanges. Usually they say to take is a mistake. That's why if there's an exchange, better let your opponent start the exchange if possible. And Maria takes my knight. Let's redo again. Sorry, I pushed the shoe button ahead of time. Takes my knight. And now, of course, I'm going to take the bishop, because if I take the knight, queen takes, bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, and queen takes bishop. I'm a piece ahead. Computer says it's great. You found the only move this position. Yes, but not difficult to guess. Now I have the advantage that we're getting. Of course, I take the knight. Knight goes to g3. Now, little by little, I have a small advantage, 1.24, you see. Mistake. You've pushed my pawn to g6. You don't like to push your pawns in front of your king. This would have blocked the knight, given some luft, meaning some air, in case there's ever a background issue. Peter, I'd rather have me play this. Queen goes to c2. Instead of the knight going to f5. My queen goes to b6. Again, the computer wants me to push my pawn to g6. I'm very reluctant to do so, because by doing so, I weaken my king and also give a whole place for the black bishop to go to h6. Since white has a dark colored bishop, I need to be careful about the dark colored squares, especially the ones near my king. That's why I didn't push my pawn to g6. Pawn goes to h4. Bishop goes to c5. Again, the computer wants me to push my pawn to g6. And here, I saw the threat to my bishop, but I should have taken the pawn my bishop. I'm not sure. Let's see, because I attack it twice, defense once. But what if I take it and rook goes to b1? Then it's difficult to defend the bishop. I can defend with one of the A or C pawns, but then pawn goes to a3. So I might end up losing the bishop. That's why I didn't just grab the pawn. And I placed it here to d4. And yes, the computer agrees with me. That is the best moves. And still 1.12 ahead. Still a long way until I win. Of course, rook is protected, goes to c1. I'm sorry, some buttons were pressed. So rook goes to c1, which the computer doesn't like. The computer would rather have Maria lose her rook on a1 and place the bishop on g5. Of course, if you do that, then after the exchange, I have taken the g pawn and my king is exposed, but I think I'd rather have the rook. Rook goes to d8. I should have put my knight on g4. Knight goes to f5. That's what the computer wanted some time ago, not any longer. Rook goes to 8. Rook, again a miss. Yes, Maria had chances. The bishop would have gone to g5 and really pin the knight, not easy to defend. Of course, cannot put the rook on d6 because the knight will grab it. I would have to put the other rook here. I would have to solve problems, meaning these problems might be solved, but this means that Maria has initiative, meaning that she creates the problems and I have to solve them. And this was a blunder. Yes, I saw it later and I spoke about it because I give Maria the chance to place the knight on d6 and fork my two rooks. I saw it one moment too late. But I got lucky. Maria doesn't see it. Let's see, Maria would have an advantage of 0.64. Even if she saw it, it would not have been a winning position, but still she would be better than what actually happened. Queen goes to d8. Sending queen to pass it. The computer would rather have me push a pawn because then the queen covers the square of d6, so the pin is not possible any longer. Yes, that's what I wanted to happen. I wanted to exchange my Maria's bishop for my knight, and then I wouldn't have to worry about the pin. Usually, if you have the pin, don't exchange. Keep the pin as long as you can, because this means that one of the opponent's pieces is not active. Again, an error, this I can notice during a game, that while usually a bishop is more valuable than a knight, in this case, this knight on f5 had a very good position, and I'm glad that I was able to exchange it. Yes, of course, push the queen forward, then threaten the pawn on d4 a second time, and then take it back on my rook. Maria misses a chance to take the pawn at a7, I had noticed during the game, and also weakens the king. Now, little by little, I start building an important advantage, 342. Not the best possible defense. Maria would rather have the pawn move and attack the queen. Mistake, of course, no reason to move the king. Good, yeah, escape square for the king. As I mentioned before, since it was no direct threat, I said better do it now and give my king an escape square than need it later, have no time to do it. And now I doubled my rooks. But computer thinks I could have done something better, like perhaps defend this pawn a third time. Rook goes to e2, an excellent move, maybe not the best, but an excellent. Now I'm taking the f2 pawn twice, it defended twice. Rook goes to e3, to d3, I thought it would go to f3 to defend the pawn once more and attack my queen. Computer thinks I'd better offer an equal trade because I'm slightly ahead just by +2. Queen goes to h5. That was a mistake. Now my advantage becomes even larger to 373. The computer would rather have Maria place the queen on b6 and threaten the pawn on b7. My rook goes to e2. Now let's see, there's the only way to defend this pawn is put either the queen or rook on f3, but Maria is going to do neither of them. Instead, is going to place the queen on g4. That was a big mistake, because before that, my advantage was real, but not yet decisive. So I'm going to do the moves that I needed for the mate. 3 moves for the mate, and the game is over. Ladies and gentlemen, I was able to defeat Maria, eliminate her. Not with the white, it was quite easy. With the black, it was not so easy. I didn't play well, but just well enough to win. Who is next on our list? It's Maxim. Maxim is from the Czech Republic. The rating is again 1,000. This concludes today's video. We eliminated Maria from Mexico. Once again, thanks to all the viewers, thanks to you, the ones of you that have been watching the videos and especially the series. Let's see how long it can continue. All it takes is one loss and it's over. Thanks to the subscribers, to the people that hit the like button, and to the people that have left some nice positive comments. I'm looking forward to feedback. And if you have any games that you'd like me to discuss, comment about, go through them, I'll be glad to do so. I am Harry Lasanesiris. This is Greco Chess. Goodbye.